What if I told you that child support isn't just about supporting children, it's about fueling one of the biggest financial systems in America? Today I'm going to be exposing how family courts use child support as a money machine and why discharge is the piece they'll never tell you. Now, before we dive into this video, this is not legal advice, this is not financial advice. And the whole point of me having this conversation is to bring awareness around a matrix, okay? To bring awareness around a system that really takes advantage of a very vulnerable situation like your child. One disclaimer I want to put out there, I am not at all condoning not supporting your child, okay? I'm not at all condoning not paying for or taking care of your kids, okay? What I don't condone is a systematic system built to kind of put two people together or pin two people against each other so that they can make money. So that's the conversation for today. We're going to be talking about the aspect of child support. There are some people who wrongfully have child support, and there's some people who do, you know what I mean, rightfully have child support. So this is for the people who wrongfully got child support. And essentially my conversation today is in hopes to put you in a position to be able to discharge it or even negotiate your child support much better. All right. Now, before we dive into this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure to turn on the post notifications because we do post daily content Monday through Friday. So let's dive straight in. I've done enough ranting. I've done enough rapping. Let's dive straight in. The first thing I want to talk about is the public story versus what the private system is, okay? On the surface, child support is marketed as a moral duty. It's about taking care of the kids, and that's the public story. But behind the scenes, the system works very differently. So follow me when I say this. This is exactly what happens when it comes to child support in the system. You may think that it's about taking care of the kids, but the reality is the courts don't operate purely on morality. They move based off of profits. They operate in commerce, all right? And understanding that their whole goal is to make money is what kind of just brings scrutiny to this conversation that I'm talking about. Child support order isn't just a legal judgment. It's a financial instrument that can be bonded, monetized, and tied to federal funding streams. So when you hear something can be bonded or monetized, that's when you have to start thinking outside the box, okay? And we don't even see those profits, all right? This means the court isn't just protecting the child. They're literally doing it because it's a financial process that they can profit from, okay? How can it's hard to really attach something to be moral or try to argue its morality when money is tied to it, okay? So parents are cast into roles. One becomes the debtor and the other is positioned as the beneficiary, but the state becomes the creditor that you end up paying into, because ultimately it's not like because you can create your own payment arrangement with the parent, the co-parent. You can make a payment arrangement with them that both of y'all can agree to. Y'all can create a contract on your own, okay? And now it's a pretty even exchange. But now imagine the middleman playing a part, and now they are the ones that have to collect the funds. In essence, it may seem good because somebody is able to enforce it, but this is why they're able to control us now, okay? So while people look at child support as something to deal with, fairness, it'll be fair for this parent to pay child support because whatever the reason, either they not paying it or whatever the case may be. Sometimes there are some very shady people, but if it's two parents that genuinely are doing for the best interest of the child, like, you guys can come up with your own contract that y'all both agree to, and I get it. It may seem like, okay, like this is something that, I won't even have a conversation about child support. You know what I mean? My point is to teach you guys what's happening behind the scenes, okay? But it's not about fairness. They're not really doing it to make sure that one person gets the fair end of the stick. Most of the times, like, no matter like how it goes, it's already something that is unfair because they are going to get a piece of whatever the other parent gets who asks for child support. All right, but enough of that. Enough of that. It's not a fair thing. It's not a moral thing. That's my whole point. Now, how child support orders functions as securities, and that's the main conversation I want to have today. Why you can discharge debt is literally for the simple fact that these orders are monetizable, okay? They can make money off of it. So then it always begs the question, okay, what did I contract to? So because of this child support order, there's going to be a bond created in reflection of this that they'll monetize regardless, and still ask me or you or whoever has to pay child support to pay child support when that very order of child support can be monetized. So let's break that down. When a child support order is issued, it's not just words on paper, it's a negotiable instrument, okay? Just like a promissory note, the order itself creates a financial obligation that the state treats like an asset. Under Title IVD of the Social Security Act, the states get a federal incentive payments for collecting child support. So the more they enforce, the more they make when they enforce child support. Okay, any payments that are coming through this system right here, they're gonna get paid a processing fee pretty much. These obligations can be bonded and even securitized. And that means that child support accounts can be packaged into investment products just like mortgages, student loans, auto loans. There are things called asset-backed securities and mortgage-backed securities that they won't ever tell you that at the end of the day, there are so many, anything that's really tied to the government, especially when it's tied to your SSN, anything that's tied to the core more likely has some more money attached to it than the eye can see, okay? Each order has the capacity to generate a CUSIP number and be tracked as a financial instrument. When you see that CUSIP number, and when people are talking about the CUSIP number, if it is attached to your loan, okay, that means that it's a security. That's what that is an indication of. Because when you look up what the definition or what a CUSIP number is, it'll say it's an alphanumeric number, a securities identifier, okay? But the states profit by creating enforceable stream of future payments, and the parent's obligation becomes the backing for federal reimbursements and financial products. So not only are you paying with taxes, but they have these programs like child support in order for you to also help aid them in their financial endeavors. That has really nothing to do with the child. Yeah, the child's going to get his cut, but somebody's also getting a cut from something that should be going to your child. And some of us may think, oh, this is the best way to do it. But it will just really allow them to have jurisdiction over your family for what? Okay? Because two grown adults can't sit and have an agreement in relation to their child. And I get there are crazy situations, but all right. That's why sometimes child support may feel like less like a family matter and more like you're being processed. It seems more petty. Okay? But again, I'm not trying to get canceled for saying nobody should pay child support. You should support your child all the way, okay? But if you were supporting the government at the same time, and you see how people get over on the child support anyways. Seen what Anthony Edwards did. You know, Anthony Edwards, he said, I paid that thing in full. Gave her $1 million or something like that. She was like, I'm gonna run out of this for the whole 18 years. You better spread it out, okay? So here's where the financial layers get deep, okay? Family courts operate under administrative law, and behind almost every order, there are bonds, performance bonds, appeal bonds, or surety bonds. These are things that are monetizable, okay? These bonds guarantee payment performance and can be traded or monetized on the back end. Asset-backed securities, mortgage-backed securities, they're given to investors, meaning not only do they make money from the person paying the bill or the child support, but they're going to make money on the back end from investors. States also pools collected funds into accounts that show up in their comprehensive annual financial reports, or CAFRs, and these funds are invested, earning returns for the state. So the state makes money off of these bonds. The state, that very child support bond that you that very child support case that you did so that your child could be taken care of, now the government is also making money off of it as well. So the more obligations that they create and enforce, the larger these pools grow and the more investment returns that the state generates. So they make more money no matter how many obligations, whether it's going to that party or this party, whether it's awarded to you or not, they're still going to make money just off of the actual order itself. Okay? So when a judge signs an order, it isn't just about choosing what is fair. It's about creating a bonded financial instrument that can be leveraged in the state accounting system. So long story short, there's a lot of people who wrongfully get child support simply because they just want to make money. The court wants to make money. And this is why they side on anybody who initiates child support for the most part. Because at the end of the day, they're going to make more money if they can get you under that obligation. So yeah, if you truly want to get out the system, as a family, you will have to stop doing things like this. And I know the right people may not even watch this. You know what I mean? So here's why the enforcement of child support is so aggressive. And that's what makes child support a very petty thing to do. Because when you don't pay it, whether it was an accident or whatever the case may be, it's not like any other bill. They're going to definitely, because it's gone through the court, they're definitely going to make sure they get their money some way. So most people wonder, why is child support enforced more harshly than other debts? You can default on a credit card and not go to jail, but miss child support and you lose your license, get garnished, or even locked up, and here's why. Enforcement isn't just about making sure the child is provided for, it's about guaranteeing performance on a financial instrument. They want you to pay on a financial instrument that technically they owe. The state has vested interest in making sure those payments continue because every dollar collected is matched by the federal incentive money under Title IVD. And that's very interesting because imagine if you pay $500 in child support and when the court, every time you make that $500 payment, an agency is going to match that with another $500. Or they get a federal incentive. Sounds very weird. Harsh penalties like jail, license suspension, passport denials exist because states need to protect its revenue stream. And this is why I say when you go down this debt discharge route, you have to be very strategic about who you're going to, have a case against. There's a difference between going against a bank, going against a debt collector, and going against the state, and then going against the IRS, then the United States. You have to be strategic. The higher the level, the more you want to learn this. And this is why due diligence is important. Education is important. So that's why parents often feel like they're battling a machine because they are. It's less about family and more about the finance. So again, I'm not against one taking care of their child, supporting their child. And there's nothing wrong with that being enforced, but is something wrong with them making money off of the enforcement, the middleman, but also at the same time? Well, I can't really, if you look at it from a dualist perspective, I mean, ultimately, if they're doing a service, then one should get paid. But people think that they are doing their family a service. And this is why a lot of families are separated to this day, because a lot of people will just side with the state. And because the state will just play that role, now we don't have fathers in children's lives. Not to say that there aren't some fathers out there that intentionally don't show up, but when you have this, it really puts us in a position of where we are literally choosing the state to be our fathers. And then the state most likely wants us in jail because that's the most legal way that they can enslave you. You know what I mean? Like truly enslave you. And I don't want you guys to be enslaved. All right? If anything, if you could stop this from happening, because more of what I teach you guys is preventative measures. If you can prevent child support, getting into an unwanted contract that you're going to try to discharge, really see what's happening behind the scenes before you contract. Okay? And also at the same time, that should give you confidence to contract, because at the end of the day, like if something doesn't work out, then you have these other routes to go. But you have to look at it like the law of attraction. You can't go in expecting it to go away. But there is a level of confidence and flexibility in your mindset shift when you do know what's actually happening behind the scenes. So when you do it, you don't have the worries of, oh, if I default or if I get sued. Like, you understanding what truly happens is what's going to, make you feel more confident about doing it. And that's the whole point. All right. So now let's just talk about how to discharge it. Okay. And I have this conversation at the end of the video because, again, I want to explain to you guys that no matter what it is, obviously the understanding of it is different. Understanding exactly where these debts come from is what's going to help you to be able to fight your claim against them. That is what helps you. But knowing the process, and this is why I save it for last, knowing the process is pretty much the same across the board, but you have to understand what exactly you are looking for. Okay? So hit the like button right now, because we're going to dive into that. So if you have child support, this is for you. First thing you want to do is, just like with mortgages, credit cards, and auto loans, child support obligations operate as commercial claims. This means that remedy exists. Though most people never hear about it, there are multiple ways that you can be able to challenge a claim. Now, child support is a claim, and all claims are alleged, okay? So the first thing that you can do is you can demand proof of the state or the servicer's actual claim, and many times they can't show the original bond or the financial instrument behind the obligation through debt validation. Hey, look, I would like to validate this debt, and you want to validate it through the title agency, the child support agency, okay? You want to write the claim, and again, one person will say, oh, well, these things don't work with them. That's what they want you to think, okay? And it's okay. Like, if you don't believe it to work, if you don't know it to work, rather, then don't do it. I don't want you to move based off of belief. I want you to move based off of what you know, okay? So, debt validation. Have them validate the debt. If anybody's attempting to collect the debt from you, they have a duty and obligation to make sure to validate the debt. Okay? It's in the Constitution. And if they reject or fail to give proper validation, that right there is a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. If one were to say, oh, well, I don't fall under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, well, why do you have a mini Miranda on the debt validation letter, on the debt collection letter that you sent me? Okay? You can also use UCC tools, and this is only if you're going to go through a trust. You can do a UCC-1 financing statement and give notice of your creditor status. This secures interest in your transaction. So for any secured property or your name, your birth certificate, things of that nature, you can do a UCC-1. Again, only do this for the people that fully understand the creditor status and do that. You can, once you file a UCC-1, that gives you better positioning. It doesn't discharge your obligation, but this is what you can do to enhance your argument. Still need to do a debt validation letter because you want them to validate the debt before you dive into any other type of conversation. So boom, they validate the debt. Your next step is to either tender an honor or use conditional acceptance. Hey, instead of refusing to pay, you can accept conditionally. You can say, hey, I'll perform if you can prove the claim. If you can prove that this is a true obligation that I need to pay that hasn't already been monetized or made money on, then I will continue to pay. And if they fail, they move into dishonor under the UCC. Dishonor is not taken lightly in the court system. I don't care what anybody says, because you guys are arguing me down for dishonoring you for not paying or performing on the contract. But when I flip the script on you and I make a demand and I ask you for certain disclosures or for you to properly validate debt and you cannot do it, you are in dishonor. So you're in the same boat as me not paying for a contract that I agreed to. And you are also on the same front for dishonoring me and breaching a contract or breaching the Constitution for what? Because you didn't feel like it? No, you signed up to be a debt collector. Okay? You can also file a form 4506T from the IRS, and essentially you can be able to do a audit and see what type of 1099 filings were put out there on your name, okay? Because a 1099-C can discharge your debt. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to discharge the child support or whatever the case may be, or that they'll do it on your behalf, because I've never had child support. But I can say that if there was a 1099-C put out based off of that account or that bond, then you could use that to show discharge. And I also bring this up for anybody that's in any other discharge situation. You can file a form 4506T from the IRS, and you use that on that particular account, and you see a 1099-C. That is your evidence that the debt has been charged off, that the debt has been settled. You can do that. And of course, the first place that you can look is your credit report. But if you have a thought or indication that something may have been charged off, you can use that against them. And then you can send affidavit of truths. You can send a notice of estoppel, certificate of non-response if they don't respond sufficiently. But ultimately, when you are challenging debt, the first place that you want to start with is their info. What gives them the jurisdiction, the authority? What information and documentary evidence gives you the right to be able to come after me for debt? You know? It's just that simple. And I'm not saying it's simple, but I'm saying it's just, that's where you simply have to start with. A lot of people, and that's the premise, because if you're able to break down their claim, then they don't really have a claim to stand on. You get what I'm saying? You want to start at the legs, because if you get them at the legs, then there it is. So that goes for child support. That goes for mortgages, auto loans, any type of debt that you're attempting to discharge. Notice how it's the same exact thing. I'm gonna have you prove your claim. And if you can prove your claim, then we can start to dive into how I'm going to perform. You want to argue about performance versus payment? We can argue that. We can go to Black Law Dictionary and look up the definition of payment and performance. Are you going to say Black Law Dictionary doesn't apply in this case? So what applies? What dictionary are you going off of? Okay? So here's the big picture. I done rambled enough. Child support isn't just about children. It's about revenue. You get what I'm saying? They're just trying to make money. So if you think you're doing something, doing your child a favor by doing child support, you know you're not. Okay? Because the reality is their parents is who you want, not really the money. Now, if they're not there, they're intentionally not being there, hey, do what you got to do. I ain't going to lie to you. You know what I mean? It's a matrix at the end of the day. Just don't harm anybody. Family courts run as an administrative agency that treat people like debtors in a commercial system. The real business model is federal funding and bonded obligation plus perpetual enforcement. That is the real business that they are in. They're not in the business of helping children. And discharge isn't about avoiding responsibility as the parent. It's about understanding the financial game the courts are playing when it comes to your obligation. Again, the parent doesn't need to know. They're going to always get their money, you know? So the next time someone says child support is about taking kids or whatever the case may be, they're wrong. Okay? They really don't care about that. Every order is an instrument, promissory note, promise to pay, something that banks, agencies, government agencies can monetize, corporations can sell. And this is why you're able to discharge child support. Okay? If you know how the financial side actually works, it puts you in a position to be able to communicate with debt collectors and play at their level and on their game, okay? Be able to communicate with their attorneys when they play the semantic game, okay? This is not something you wouldn't send a debt validation letter to your baby mother. You wouldn't, you know? You would send it to the state agency. So understanding this, even if it isn't a child support, if you're able to discharge child support, imagine what you can discharge. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you want to learn more about this, down below, comment the word family. Also, if you want to tap into my school community, the link will be in the description. For 7 days, you can get in for free until we reach 1,000 members. And it's only $27 a month, so get grandfathered in now, okay? Number three, if you want to work with me, if you want to work with me one-on-one, tap into that link in the description where you can apply to work with me one-on-one. It's a couple things I help people do. I help people fix their credit, get funding, but now I'm releasing a beta service. Me actually help people build personal brands, okay? As you can see, I've been able to make different pages and different accounts that have reached thousands, tens of thousands of followers hundreds of thousands of followers, over millions of views on a monthly basis. And I want to be able to help others that want to do the same exact thing, build their own personal brand. All right. So right now, I'm pretty much starting up helping people with their brand development. So you can go ahead and click that link in the description, tap in, talk to us, tell us exactly what you want to do, what type of brand that you have, what type of brand you want to run, and then let's just run the bag up, man. Let's get everybody on a space where they are an authority in their niche. It may be credit, it may be consumer law, it may be entertainment, right? It may be your brick and mortar business. Tap into that link in the description. I just wanted to talk about that. And lastly, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I love you guys. Remember to comment the word family, and I'll see you in the next one. This video is sponsored by the Fund Yourself Academy. My step-by-step system designed to help you fix your credit, get funding, and build real financial freedom from scratch. If you're tired of feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just ready to stop living paycheck to paycheck, this is where it changes. Inside the Academy, I break down everything from consumer law secrets that they don't teach in school to how to remove negative items and boost your score, get access to business funding, and start building multiple income streams online. Whether you're just starting out or ready to level up your game and get the bag, this is your playbook. We've got tools, templates, dispute letters, mentorship calls, private community access, and an exact roadmap I use to leave my 9-to-5 and create time freedom. But only for a limited time, you can get access to the Fund Yourself Academy on a free trial basis for the next 7 days. And then after that, you pay less than $1 a day at $27 a month if you like it. No fluff, just facts and just freedom. Go to thefundyourselfacademy.com or hit the link in the description to join now, because nobody's coming to save you, but you can fund yourself.